Hey everybody, happy Monday. Welcome to an all new episode of Let's Stay Together. I am so excited to have my guest on the show today. Owen Joyner is the star of one of the hottest shows on Netflix right now, Julie and the Phantoms. And we have a great conversation in store for you today. So get comfortable, sit back, and let me grab my guest right now. Hang tight.
What's up?
Hey, what's up, man? How are you?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Yeah, of course.
So, Owen, I started the show back in March when COVID kind of shut the world down because I wanted people to have a place that they can come to every week for some joy and some hope and inspiration and to just have fun. And you bring all of that and more, so it's great to have you.
That's awesome. Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, for sure. And to all your fans who are watching, I have your questions. I got them all together, and I'm asking the most popular ones a bit later, so stay tuned. But man, we have a lot to get to, so I say we dive in.
Yeah, let's go for it.
So first off, a huge congrats to you on the success of Julie and the Phantoms. It has easily become one of the most binge-worthy shows on Netflix. I got DMs from people saying they have watched the show 10, 20, 30 times during this time of quarantine.
Yeah.
So it's really taken off, and for good reason. I assume most people here have watched the show and are big fans, but if anyone is new and about to watch it, how would you describe Julie and the Phantoms?
Yeah, I mean it's a band. It's about a band from the '90s. Four guys trying to make it big, and on the big night of they're supposed to play for all these, record executives and studio executives and stuff like that. They go out and they try to get a snack and they die from eating a bunch of bad hot dogs. 20 years later, they poof into this garage. They don't know this girl. They scream. They freak out. And then it's basically just a story of their adventure trying to figure out their lives as new ghosts and why they appeared and what they're supposed to go into and even though they're ghosts, they still have the problems of normal teenagers, which is pretty fun.
Yeah. And you play Alex, one of the Phantoms. You play him brilliantly. How did the opportunity for you come up to join the show? What was that audition process like? And were you always in the mix for that role, or did you kind of try out for a few? Give me like the full backstory.
Yeah, I know a couple of the people in the cast went out for a couple of the roles, but when I had just so I did a show called Night Squad. And we had just been canceled after season 2, and I was like 18 years old, and all my friends were going to college. All my friends back in Oklahoma were all going to college. So that was the point where I remember sitting in my apartment being like, oh crap, like I'm an adult now. If I'm going to be an actor, like this is it. Like I have to book another role. I'm 18 years old. So we got canceled right before pilot season. So, I mean, I think that was like the most anxious I'd ever been in my entire life. I was freaking out. I remember doing like 30, 40 takes for each like self-tape I was doing. And then, throwing up afterwards because I was worried I didn't do good enough or something. So I remember Dan and Dave, I worked with Nickelodeon for 6 years. So Dan and Dave had done the Thundermans, and my old bosses, Mark and Sean, who are all writers for Julie and the Phantoms, they were friends with Dan and Dave. So they called me up and they said, hey, there's this part. It's perfect for you. He's got a lot of comedy. He plays the drums. He sings. It's right down your alley. And it was kind of like a little miracle audition for me, during a time of like so much stress. I was so anxious and it was kind of perfect. And I went in, I auditioned. I went to producers and then I got, a mix and match in a network callback. So it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. And it's a testament to you that, they all wanted to work with you and thought of you. And obviously, you've built a good reputation in the business. People want to work with you, man.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now, when you walked onto set that very first day, were you like, oh, this is going to be a huge show? Or when was that moment for you, if you had it?
I think the huge moment was when I was looking at the breakdown and it said Kenny Ortega. You kind of like, you read that and you're just kind of like, oh, like you have some faith in whatever project you're going out for, But I do remember the first day. I remember doing like music rehearsals before going out to Vancouver. Before we even started filming, we did like a 6-week, 8-week, intensive boot camp thing where we were learning our instruments. We were learning harmonies, learning the music, getting ready to record the album. And things just ran so much differently than I'd ever been exposed to before. Like any of my other shows that I had done, there always felt like, like naturally there's always like a little bit of friction or conflict between creative and then, network. And, they're trying to push their ideas and what they think is going to make a great show. And I never felt that friction. And I didn't know if that was, Kenny's genius of him maybe, hiding that stress from us and just letting us focus on, getting what we needed to get for the show. But I never felt that. Like it always kind of surprised me every day. Like if we needed something, we always kind of had it. If we thought something was going to be good for the show, we wanted to try an idea, we could go ahead and try that. So that friction was never really there, which was kind of surprising to me and kind of let me relax and like, be nervous about the fact that I had to record an album.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys put in the work, that's for sure. I mean, all the preparation and the recordings, like you said, and then of course creating the show. I give you all a lot of credit. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
And your character, Alex, he's a fan favorite. A lot of people say he's the glue that kind of holds the band and the group together. What are some of your favorite parts about getting to play that role?
Well, I really connected with the comedy. I remember reading the script before the auditions and really loving like how sarcastic he was and like kind of how quick on his feet he was. And that's kind of me in the friend group. I'm kind of like throwing little jabs here and there to everybody. So I was kind of able just to connect with that and then kind of like roll with that. And it wasn't until, and Alex is so nervous constantly all the time and his friends are always making fun of him for it. And that's so me too, and I feel like that's what Kenny does. I feel like you go into audition for a part and he's sitting there and he's casting the actual, the characters. No one's really acting. So there's a lot that I connect with Alex on.
Yeah. People really like the sarcasm and comedic nature of that role a lot. And it's really cool, man. You play an openly gay character on the show, and it's the show's targeted to everyone, but especially a slightly younger audience, which I think the storyline is still a rarity, and we don't see it all the time. And I received so many messages from people saying that your character makes them feel seen and that they've never felt more represented in a show before seeing this one. So what does it mean to you to be able to be part of a storyline that means so much to so many?
Yeah, I mean, most of all, it's just kind of like, when you hear something like that, it's just kind of like a huge compliment, Yeah. It's kind of humbling and honestly honoring. That's so cool. And I've had people reach out to me and tell me stuff like that. And I never thought that I could have an impact, on someone's life like that. But it's just been really exciting. I remember talking to Kenny about, he came to me and told me, the character was gay and I remember him saying, I want Alex I want his friends to be completely okay with who he is and what whatever he decides to be. And his friends always have his back. And I don't want to make an episode about him having to tell his friends who he is. His friends always have his back. And I just thought that was always really cool. And I think that's what people like are kind of excited about the show about. It's like sometimes your given family isn't going to have your back. They're not going to be there for you, but that doesn't mean you're alone. You've got your chosen family, your family that is there and shows you every day that they're there to support you. And I think people kind of resonate with that, especially if they have their own, stories of struggle within their family that they can kind of relate to those friends they turn to,
Yeah. And I thought it was so cool how, I think it was episode 2 when your buddy just like brought up that you were gay. It wasn't this huge.
Yeah, it was just a throwout thing. I think that was kind of like relaxing to people, it's kind of comforting. Kenny always spoke on, making it that's just him. that's just him, and it's not a big deal. And that was always exciting to us.
Yeah, for sure. And Alex and Willie, I feel like were pretty much the prominent relationship in the show, and people love that storyline so much. And I know you got to work with Boo Boo Stewart, and everything about that relationship is praised by every critic out there. How was working with Boo Boo and being part of that storyline as well?
Oh, it was amazing. It was awesome. I did some of the auditions for Willie and Alex, and so many great actors and stuff like that. But I mean, I think everyone kind of, as soon as Boo Boo came in, everyone was really excited, and they were like, "Oh, this is the kid," you know.